Hello, my lovely audience. Welcome to another video. And in case you're wondering if I seem a bit out of it in this video, I've just been having a very shit day, and I just watched a very depressing thing. Usually, depressing videos on YouTube don't really get to me, but when you're having a shit day, you're kind of a different person, you know. Yeah. It's kind of difficult to bury your emotions when the pot's full. That was a joke, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, let's just get on with the what if. Now, in this what if, Izuku, yeah, Izuku would, well, at the age of 4, he would have been caught up in an incident, a villain attack, as you would say. Now, this villain's quirk is essentially a disease-type quirk that essentially gave Izuku a super heart virus. Yay! So, yeah. Izuku is on a timer. It's weird because Izuku should have died within about a few hours, but he didn't. So, doctors, they couldn't tell when he was gonna die. So Izuku really never told Bakugo any of this, or really anyone. So yeah. Izuku... yeah. Basically, the doctors gave Izuku until he's 20. That was their rough estimation. So, yeah. Bakugo would continue to bully Izuku, and everything would go as canon, except Izuku, telling All Might about his heart disease once he gets off it one for all. All Might just telling him to find a successor by the time he's 20. Everything going well. Now, I'd say, yeah, UA Sports Festival, the tournament arc. The tournament arc of the UA Sports Festival. Yeah. That's where this what if kicks off. Now, here's some information I didn't tell you. Izuku is the biological son of All For One. Izuku is unaware of who his father is, and just knows that his father needs to stay in the hospital a lot because he got into a very bad incident which took off the front part of his head. Inko and Izuku have no idea about this, but All For One is fully aware. All For One also knows that Izuku does have a quirk, it's just not manifested because of the heart virus. So what he does is he implants evidence into UA which clearly show Izuku and All For One being a family, which results in All Might gathering up Class 1A and, how one would say, it was bloody. All Might crushed Izuku's throat. Well, here's how this went. All Might would walk up to Izuku, just kind of in one of the back hallways of UA, as he would go, Izuku, something came up. Well, no. Izuku, something I forgot to tell you about my quirk is, you have to give it back after, a couple of months. Just so you don't explode. We have to just... It's a one-time thing. I'll give the quirk back to you in about a week. Izuku, being fully trusting of All Might, would nod his head and give back the quirk. Then All Might would crush Izuku's throat to the point where he's bleeding all over the floor. Then punch a hole right through his stomach as he would go, disgusting. You're the offspring of that bastard. Why, you traitorous fuck. And Izuku would be, brutally beaten to a pulp by all of Class 1A, like Mayonetta and Sero rip him in half, well, break his spine by pulling him apart. Uraraka swings him around like a mallet, smashing him into walls. Bakugo is not there. You know what? Yeah, Bakugo is not there. Kirishima chokes out Izuku using his hardening, crushing Izuku's throat even further, even though it was entirely... Izuku's vocal cords were entirely destroyed by All Might. Suya, uses her tongue to, jumble up Izuku's insides. Go down his throat and jumble up his insides. Koda is not there. Koda is crying in his room with Bakugo. Aoyama is having a panic attack with Koda and Bakugo because Aoyama is aware of who Izuku is the son of. And, MHA plot twist here, Aoyama's the traitor. So he is having a mental breakdown right now, oh, I am so fucking dead. That is just what's going through Aoyama's head. And before you ask, yes, Izuku is close with Shigaraki. He just has absolutely no idea who Shigaraki, who the villain Shigaraki is. He just assumes that they're two different people. One's his adopted son, the other... No, one's his adopted brother, the other is a villain that just so happens to share the same name and quirk. Well, technically similar quirks. But, yeah. Tokoyami, and Dark Shadow. It's brutal. It's brutal. There's blood everywhere. This is right after Izuku kind of convinced Todoroki to use his fire. So he freezes Izuku, burns him, freezes him, burns him, and essentially tenderizes him using heat. Yeah, that's actually something you can do. By rapidly changing the temperature of something, you can tenderize it. Hitting it with a mallet. So he does that with Izuku. And when Aizawa walks in, he's just holy fuck, you idiots! Anyway, so, yeah. After, it registers in their brain, maybe Izuku didn't know his father was All For One. Yeah, that thought just passes by them, it would make sense for All For One to have, decoy families he can return to, and, and he's immortal, and, that thought of them, Izuku not knowing who his father is, would all just kind of pass their brains, as they would all in unison go, oh. All Might would just say, you know what, this makes this seem even worse, but I'm pretty sure Izuku has a incurable heart disease, too. Uraraka would just turn to him and go, what?! Yep. They feel like shit. Anyway, so, yeah. Izuku's unconscious right now, and, well, we cut to essentially inside of Izuku's mind. It's white, and it's empty, and it's clear. Izuku would stand up, start walking. The ground would have would ripple like water, and would be reflective, but the only thing it could reflect is the endless whiteness in the sky. As well, Izuku's thoughts would begin appearing in words. I'm alone. I'm hurt. Why? Things would change color from white to black, and the letters would changed to red as it would continue. Why? Why? That's the only thing going through his head. Why? He didn't know who his father was. And, well, his father isn't as bad as they say, at least to Izuku. Izuku's lived with his father. He knows his father. He knows he isn't a bad person, at least to Izuku. So, simply put it, he's stumped. As a hand would float by and shake its index finger, like, Izuku would stare blankly at the hand as it would fly forward and caress his cheek. And slowly more and more hands would grab a hold of him and start touching him, feeling him, holding him, as things would go from black to white. As, well, the emptiness in Izuku's mind would begin to ripple. Well, the water ground thing underneath him would ripple slightly, as more and more hands would begin fidgeting with Izuku. As, well, he would hear in a dead kind of voice that sounds like it's in between death and life, just on the cusp of passing, but still filled with energy. The voice would go, "Perfection is the only answer." As, well, Izuku would stop walking, and things would. And, well, a red type of flower would start sprouting from the ground. If you know this, you would know this flower if you've watched Tokyo Ghoul or Inuyasha, but it's the red spider lily. No, it's not. It does not grant immortality like its blue cousin, but it is representative of death and the afterlife. So, a large amount of these flowers would start to grow and sprout, but then they would wilt and die, signifying Izuku's not dead yet. As suddenly Izuku's eyes would open, and he would realize he's in a hospital. He has the breathing mask you see in hospitals on, and he's wearing a white robe. And he has a large scar on his throat. He would attempt to speak, but fail. Izuku would look to see the viewing window, look to the side to see the viewing window, seeing Uraraka, trying to catch a floating hand that's just shaking its finger at her, as she's trying to grab it out of the air, let me see Deku-kun! As Izuku looks at this, he would remember Uraraka grabbing him by the leg, using her quirk to make him weightless, then slamming him into the wall so hard his blood would splatter across it and his organs would burst. And, he would remember her slamming him against the floor and the walls repeatedly over and over, and the pain that came with it. As a hand would kind of just appear next to Izuku, as it would point its middle finger at her. Izuku would get up, walk to the door, and open it. Uraraka would turn to see Izuku Deku-kun, you okay? As she would she would run at him and try and hug him, Izuku would instinctively recoil, PTSD, and move out of the way. Uraraka would look at him sadly, oh, yeah. Well, just note, me and the others are sorry. We didn't know about your heart disease or anything along those lines, and was sorry. Izuku would just kind of feel angry. For the first time in his life, he doesn't see. Well, he doesn't think someone can be redeemed. After what happened to him, for no reason, well, in his head, no reason, no interrogation, he just can't seem to find it in himself to forgive her. So, one of the hands would just kind of float by and shake its finger, index finger at Uraraka and go, sorry, but Izuku isn't interested in hearing your shit. The hand would, move into a shape that kind of looks like a person standing, as it would walk in the air, right up to Uraraka's face, like, as it would say, so why don't you, skedaddle your little whore ass back out of here. Don't think Izuku didn't know about your little escapades with, Denki and Mayonetta for a bit of cash. Ho. Like, the hand would just say that and float off, as Izuku would just look at the hand like, it can talk? Uraraka would look at the hand like, that bitch can talk? They would just both blankly stare at the hand like, it can talk? So the hand would just kind of turn to Izuku, stand in the air, and go, oh, don't act like you didn't expect to see this coming. That's a nasty old scar on your neck's gonna be preventing you from, doing any of the talking yourself, so I had to find some kind of a way around it. The hand that was, floating next to Izuku would move to the other hand, as they would make a shrug gesture. As well, both of the hands would fly forwards and grab onto Izuku's arms. Yeah. Izuku would sigh heavily, as he would just... He doesn't know. Anyway, we cut back to UA campus. The rest of Class 1A wanted to see Izuku, but they couldn't, and they can't exactly be prosecuted because the number one hero, All Might, is defending them, so they're just kind of sat in the UA living room, confused on what to do, as suddenly the door would just fly open, and there stands Inko. Dual-wielding slippers, with the rage of 1,000 suns burning in her eyes. As, like, Aizawa, who was busy lecturing class, was actually, asleep on the floor, would just look at Inko like, hello, ma'am. It hasn't even been a few weeks before I begged you to promise me to keep my baby boy safe. And next thing I hear, he is brutally mutilated by his class and hospitalized, presumably gonna be comatose for the rest of the, 5 years in his life? Well, we have some good news regarding that. The heart virus is gone. Do I look like I give a shit? He's gonna be comatose either way! In my opinion, him dying would have been more merciful. I don't think a mother should be talking like that about her son. Bitch, my husband can bring back the dead. He can bring back the dead. He could have brought back Izuku, but now he's comatose. I can't do jack shit now! I'm gonna whoop these kids' asses! As, like, Momo would just kind of chime in. Momo shot Izuku in the spine. Like, she pulled a Joker and crippled him. Well, attempted to cripple him. Anyway. Would just be like, Your husband can bring back the dead? Yeah, that's his quirk, bitch! Isn't your husband all for one? Like, Inko would just... A vein would pop on her forehead as... Cut back to Izuku. He's, dressed and walking back to UA, fully aware that his mother's probably, doing some horrific things in, the UA dorms, as he's blatantly ignoring and pretending not to know Uraraka. And she's trying to talk to him like, Izuku, you know I'm sorry. Sorry, bitch, he doesn't care. Like, that's what one of the hands goes. The hand on his left shoulder would just go, he doesn't care. Also, here's a fun fact. Izuku actually had a crush on you. Uraraka would blush like, wait, what? Yes, he did. You were literally his first friend. Like, Uraraka would just kind of blankly stare at the hand/glove as, like, she's looking at Izuku, and he would nod and then turn away, once again pretending not to know her, as she just feels this pain in her chest, like she's being stabbed with a knife. As well, yeah. Anyway, time skip a few weeks. Izuku has been learning about its quirk, and, well, the only people he seems willing to communicate with are Bakugo, Koda, and Aoyama, and Aizawa, and Nezu. But, yeah. Anyway, you know, Sato and the rest of Class 1A are outside of Izuku's door. Sato has a cake that says, "We're so sorry, Izuku." As, well, you know, Suya would use her tongue to open the door. It would slowly slide open. What they see is not Izuku's dorm room, but a whole-ass different world. Like, they are on a cliff of a whole-ass, mangled-ass world. There are cities on mountains, abandoned-looking cities on mountains. Well, more like off the ground. The city itself is off the ground, but it looks like someone cut the ground in half, type thing. And the cities are slightly above the regular ground. There are mountains, like, it's this whole-ass world in Izuku's dorm room. Except there isn't any life. Yeah, that's, concerning. There's only trees, but no deers, no birds. Koda, who tagged along because he wants to check on Izuku, can't hear anything. So he would just slowly walk into the door and go, "Hello?" Using his quirk to see if there's anything there. And it's all dead. Nothing. Not a zilch. As well, the rest of Class 1A would walk in, and the door behind them would shut, trapping them in this weird, alternate dimension. As, like, Aoyama would go, "I knew his father was all for one, and I assumed he did not know that, but, maybe he did? What is going on?" Give me a moment. Like, Momo would shrug, like, "I don't know." Anyway, so, yeah. A, stone type of puppet would fall to the ground in front of them. It looks like a stone statue, but it would bounce off the ground like it was made out of rubber. It looks to be a statue of a hero, relatively unknown one. No, relatively unknown hero called Zaptricity, whose quirk is he can manipulate water. He wears a electric-themed, uniform and hero costume, I mean. An electric-themed hero costume. And also, his name is electric-themed to throw off his enemies. Like, they'll take him to a river or something, into the ocean, so he can't use his quirk. But there, he's practically a god. That's kind of his game plan. Anyway, so, yeah. It's a perfect kind of statue for Zaptricity. And, well, it just is on the ground. Until Coda would start to hear a bird's voice coming from it. Now this bird would go, Intruders in the dominion of the Lord. Death is the only option. As, well, a hand, a big-ass fucking hand, like a giant-ass hand that looks like it belongs... It looks like a glove you would put on Gigantomachia type big, would just kind of snap its fingers as the Zaptricity doll, as I will be referring to it, would start moving, and the bird's voice would continue. Death for the Lord. Kill for the Lord. Give me a moment. They are a threat. You are a threat to our Lord's perfection. To our Lord's creation you shall burn and be added into the beauty of it. Coda would just kind of go, guys, that's a cultist bird! That's just kind of what Coda yells, cultist bird! As, like, the giant-ass hand would just kind of slowly turn to face Coda, and go, that's funny! Anyway, good grief, brainiaxia stopped. Time to die! As a kind of glowing orb of light would start to spark from the palm of the hand, as it would suddenly disappear, and the hand would just kind of disappear into oblivion, as so would the doll, and then Izuku's room would return to normal. The mountains and cities would disappear, revealing Izuku's room just ordinary. Except all of his All Might-based merchandise is ripped up, destroyed, or sold off if it had some kind of value. As Izuku is just kind of chilling on his bed, as he would look at them, scowling, and, well, a hand would just kind of pop up and go, please, get the fuck out. Izuku is busy right now. But busy with what? Making his dolls, and also, just kind of making his perfect little home. This dorm room's too small. Well, that's my opinion anyway. Izuku finds it cozy, so he's planning on keeping it as a cabin somewhere. Huh. Neat. That's just kind of what Dark Shadow goes. Give me a moment. Like, Momo would step up and say, What's going on? I thought Izuku was supposed to be quirkless. The hand would shake its index finger and go, As it turns out, Izuku inherited a mishmash of quirks from his, father. And, simply put it, the quirks never manifested because of the heart virus. But now that the virus is gone, oh my goodness, now that the virus is gone because the quirks were forcibly awakened, you're all fucked. Like, that's kind of what the hand goes, as, like, Denki and Mayonetta would just swallow, just gulp, like... Anyway, yeah. So, once again, 25 likes if you want a part 2. Anyway, goodbye, my lovely, lovely audience. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye. Yeah, this is when I ran out of inspiration, so goodbye, my lovely, lovely audience. I hope you enjoyed, and hope to see you next time. Bye-bye. 25 likes for part 2.